Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Nakie. I hope everybody is doing well. On today's menu, as you can see, we are going to the streets of Accra, specifically Choko or all the Ga communities where you could find the best Kenkey. Yes, this is what we are making today. Stay tuned, let's get started. For our ingredients, you need your cornmeal. This yellow cornmeal is optional. I just use it because I like the texture and the color. You don't need to. And you need your regular white cornmeal. So I'm gonna blend this yellow cornmeal. It's kind of coarse to me, and I want to like in a smooth texture. So I'm gonna blend it and add it to the white cornmeal. The white cornmeal is already smooth, so I don't need to blend that. But this I need to because it was coarse. And this is the final product. See how smooth that looks now? Yeah. So I'm gonna mix the white and the yellow cornmeal together. So at this point, if you're not using the yellow cornmeal, just go ahead and add your water to it till you get that dough texture. But since I'm adding my yellow cornmeal, I want to make sure I mix the white and the yellow corn before adding the water. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So I just added my water. Just the water is to your preference. You don't want to add too much to. You just want to have just a dough consistency. Okay, so do not add too much, especially when you're making kenkey. You don't want your dough to become too soft because after it ferments for after 5 days, it's going to be a little bit softer. So make sure you don't add too much water to your dough when you're trying to make kenkey. Okay. And this is the consistency that I went for. See, it's not that too wet. That's yeah, like Play-Doh. That reminds me of Play-Doh, like kids play with that a lot. So yeah, so you want to make sure your dough is not liquidy, okay? So at least on the dry side. So after fermentation takes place, it's still gonna be good to use for your kenkey. Otherwise, when you make it too soft after fermentation, it's gonna be a little bit softer and you don't want that. So I clean the side, make sure there's no like a little bit of dough sticking on the bowl, because if you don't do that, during fermentation it's going to be moldy and you don't want that. So I'm going to cover this with the cling film. This is also optional. The reason why I use the cling film is it also reduces the amount of mold that comes on top, okay, but you could still do without it. All right, so I left this outside for 5 days. You could do more than 5 days, but mine was exactly 5 days, and yeah, I could tell it was okay for me. So as you can see with the cling film, you see there's a like one or two mold on top. Yeah, I'm gonna take that off, and that's it. Without the cling film, sometimes there's a lot, but with the cling film, it helps reduce the mold, and I don't need to like scrape a lot and throw it away. And this is our condo. This is our condo for our kenkey. Yeah, I already have a video of how to make your condo, but this is specifically for kenkey because I did not add too much water. The other one was a little bit wet because I use it for bago, but you can still use it for kenkey. Yeah, you can still use it for kenkey, but this I specifically made it to use it for kenkey because the less water it is, the good texture you get for your kenkey. So we are ready to make our kenkey. The ratio in making Ga Kenkey is 2 to 1 ratio. 2 to 1 meaning we're going to use one part to make our banku and the other two to mix the banku mix. I'm going to let you know as we go on. So this is what I'm talking about. You see how I have 3 parts? Yeah, I'm going to just take one of it. I'm going to use that one to make the banku mix, also known as the aflata. And this is the way I make my aflata. When I'm making my aflata, I add enough water. Enough water means adding more than you add to making like your regular banku. So yeah, you could make your flatter like you're making bangkok. That is so perfect. That's how some people make it. But this is how I learned how to make kinke. So I'm stuck to that. But yeah, you could make it like you're making bangkok. And when I'm making my flatter like my bangkok mix, it doesn't really like cook all the way through. I cook it till everything comes together, and yeah, I go ahead and mix it with the corn, the regular cornmeal. But other people cook it and to like it's all the way cooked through. Yeah, you could do that perfectly and you're still gonna have your kinky. But this is how I was taught and this is how I make it. You could try this and let me know how it turns out. And when I'm making my flatter, as I said, I make the flatter really soft. Not soft to like cocoa texture, but soft. So you could see the texture when it's done. Yeah, you could go ahead and make it like banku, like a little bit harder than this. But this is how I was taught and this is how I'm making it. So yeah, give it this a try and let me know how it turns out. So I learned how to make kenkey back home in Ghana. I used to live in a compound house, and there was this woman who makes kenkey, and I help her sometimes. I love to cook, so anybody who cooks, I'm always like by their side, trying to help in some one way or the other. So that's how I learned how to make kenkey. Yeah, so thanks to Auntie Kone, I know, yeah, she taught me how to make kenkey. Yeah, so this is the part, this other two part, remember? Yeah, so now we're gonna mix the other two part with the aflata, that's the banku mix. I took the other half because I'm gonna add it to the top. So this is like the base. I'm gonna put the banku, the aflata in the middle, and I'm gonna put the rest of the corn dough on top and just mix everything together. So all I'm doing is just trying to mix the fresh corn dough and the banku together. Yeah, I was using a plastic bowl, as you can see, so I couldn't have like a grip water with, so it was really hard. But when you're making it, be careful because it's really hard when you're mixing it. All right, so I'm going to cover this and let it cool down before we can mold it into our kinky shape. So yeah, this is my corn hacks. This corn hacks is wash. Make sure you wash it because sometimes when you buy it, there's a little bit of like insects in it, and you don't want that in your kinky. So just tear it apart and wash it individually. You could get this in most Asian store and some African shops. So it's been an hour now. My kinky mix is cooled down now, so I could put my hands in there. All I'm doing is trying to like use my hand to like mash up any lumps in it. Even though there wasn't no lump, but you want to make sure you mix it with your hands really well. So it's time for us to mold our kenkey. Unfortunately, when I was molding this kenkey, I don't know what happened. I think my camera was zoomed in, so it didn't have like the whole picture of how I did it. Some came, but it wasn't like the whole thing. So I'm sorry if you can't like see, but it's that simple, or not simple to everybody. But just have a handful of your kenkey mix. Put it in one of the hacks and get as much as any axe to make sure there's no kinky mix showing. So wrap it around, yeah, wrap it around like that so everything is covered. When you hold the other end, twist it, you twist it. You make sure you find a place, yeah, you might make a hole over there and put the twisted part in it. Yeah, so that's how I make it. We're going to continue this process till we're done molding all the kinky. So we're done molding our kenkey. It's time for us to cook it. Before you cook your kenkey, always make sure you have some of the corn husks underneath your pot, otherwise it's going to burn so fast. This is to prevent it from burning. And also when you're placing your kenkey balls in the pot, make sure you put the open ends facing down. Okay, this is going to cook it also faster. So after placing all our kenkey in our pot, I'm going to add my water to it. Kenkey takes a lot of time to cook. This took me almost like 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, so make sure you have your eyes on it because the water dries up fast, so you need to be adding more water if you need to. Okay, but yeah, you're going to need a lot of water in cooking your kenkey. I covered it with this kitchen napkin. You don't need to, you could use like a regular plastic bag, but I figured this trap the heat really well and makes the kenkey really cook faster and softer. So yeah, so make sure you use something on top when you're cooking your kenkey. I prefer the kitchen napkin and I loved it. So after 40 minutes, I added more water to it because the water dried up. I still added more water to it in between till the 3 hours was done. So make sure you check the kenkey and make sure you add more water if you need to. Okay. So after 3 hours later, our Ga Kenkey, our Ga Kenkey, our Dokono is ready, guys. And how do you know if it's ready? See, when I poke my hand in it, see how soft that is? Yes, that tells you your kenkey is ready. I can't wait to enjoy this with my fried shrimps. You can enjoy this with your fish, your soup, your stews, your shito, whatever you want to enjoy your kenkey with. Just go ahead and enjoy it because you did a good job making that kenkey. Always use cold water when you're taking your kenkey out from your pot because it is hot and I don't want you to burn yourself. Okay, so this is how I preserve my kenkey. Right from the pot, you see how hot it is? I just use a cling film to wrap it. It traps the heat and it still makes it soft. Like that softness is all that I want in my kenkey, so I don't want it to dry out before I wrap it. Yeah, of course, this is how it's gonna be. I'm gonna keep the rest, and when it's colder I'm gonna put it back in my refrigerator anyway. But this is how I preserve mine. I wrap it right when it's hot. And we are done with our kenkey. Look how pretty that looks. And this is our intention. This is the water, the remaining water we got after boiling our kenkey. And this liquid, if you know, you know. When you're back home in Ghana, those days, I don't know if they still do it, when you're sick they tell you to drink this liquid because it helps cure that sickness, especially with fever. Yeah, because I think it's hard, it hydrates you when you're dehydrated. Are you ready? Yes, you're ready, because I'm ready. Let's try this kenkey together. So look at that. Look at that. See how soft that is? I know you're not here to like feel the softness of it, but let me tell you, if you break into a kenkey and it starts to fall apart, that kenkey is not soft. See, when I break it, you see how my hand like it like draws on that kenkey, like the design of my hand on that kenkey, that tells you that kenkey is soft. So I don't need to say it anymore. You could tell from this kenkey. I'm gonna break it again and you're gonna see all like my handprint on that kenkey. This is what I'm talking about. See my handprint on that kenkey? It tells you that kenkey is soft. That kenkey is not breaking apart. It's not like falling all over the place. This kenkey is everything. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Until I come your way next time, this is Nakie. Be good to yourself, be good to everybody. It goes a long way.